Hello, I'm Tactical Pascal. Welcome to the channel. I hope this finds you all safe and well. This video is on the Spitfire for DCS World and should you buy it? Now before I begin, full disclosure, I am British. I used to be in the RAF and the Spitfire is one of the most iconic aircraft in history. I'm biased towards it. I love it. I've seen it in real life. I've touched it in real life. It's gorgeous. But did DCS do a good enough job worthy of this historic icon? Now, if you're like me, the first thing you done when you got the Spitfire, or the first thing you might do when you get the Spitfire, is just jump into a free flight, map the very basics of controls, such as trim up, left, down, etc., and your throttle, obviously, and then fly. And immediately lose control because you're used to flying fast jets like the F-18 or the F-15 if you haven't gone for a full fidelity module yet. Now, the flying in a warbird requires much more finesse, much more control. It requires coordinated turns with your pedals or your twist grip if you've got it. And it requires you to be much smoother on the controls. I wasn't. As a result, my first, I'd say, 3 flights in the Spitfire resulted in me blacking out very quickly and leaving a smoking hole in the ground. However, if you do treat it with some respect, be nice and smooth, you soon get used to the handling of the Spitfire and it handles like an absolute dream. The turn radius is fantastic, its ability to climb is excellent, but you do need to watch the RPM because if you have too much RPM as you're climbing, you're going to put too much stress on the engine and in pretty short order you're going to break the engine. Over time you'll realise what you need to do to stop that from happening and you become even better at flying the module. It's an absolute beautiful aircraft to fly, and if you're sitting in VR feeling all claustrophobic in that little warbird cockpit in a Spitfire, it'll give you goosebumps. Certainly did for me. Now on to one of the hardest things I found about the Spitfire. Taxiing. Handling on the ground in the Spitfire is awful in DCS. There's no lockable tail wheel, so you end up shimmying down the taxiways left, right, left, right, left, right. Now, in a warbird, yeah, you should be going left and right to see in front of you because you can't see up and over the cowling. However, in the Spitfire, it's like it's got a mind of its own. If you put too much RPM on as you're taxiing, the tail wants to overtake the nose and often you'll just spin round in circles. That can be alleviated with practice, practice, practice. Once you get the hang of it, it's better, but it's still a nightmare to taxi compared to every other warbird out there. Takeoff itself, as long as you're nice and gentle on the throttle, slowly building up that power as you go, you'll have no problems. However, if like me, you jump in and go, I'll put the throttle all the way forward, all you're going to do is spin round or roll over and not even get airborne. So with practice, it's okay. With little practice, it's an absolute nightmare. But you should persevere because once you're airborne, it's probably the best thing to fly in DCS. So you manage the difficult task of taxiing and then you've been taken off and flying around, enjoying your time in the Spitfire, and you've decided it's time to come in and land. Now, landing a warbird can be difficult at first, just because of the different flight dynamics from everything else you're used to, really. However, as long as you remember what it looked like when you took off, then if you match that when you land, you should have no problem landing with the gear down at the same time. So you're going to approach the runway, do your midfield brake, etc., and then come in at about 90 knots in the Spitfire. And as you almost touch the ground, just that little gentle flare to put that sort of horizon where it was when you were sat ready to taxi, then all 3 wheels should touch down at the same time. If they don't and you bounce, you need to mash the stick forward and then pull it back just as you go for your second bounce and then control that down the runway. That's pretty much it. It's easy. Now I'm going to talk about the aesthetics, not only the outside but the inside. Let me just stress that I think the Spitfire is one of the most beautiful aircraft in the world, apart from the clipped wing version. I don't like that. But the Spitfire is, whatever angle you look at, it's amazing. It looks fantastic in real life. It looks fantastic in DCS. They've done a superb job on the externals and internals. It looks like it should be from the 1930s or 40s in the inside of that cockpit with little wooden toggles and stuff like that and little just wires and screws that all look lovely. I often find myself hitting F3 or F2 and mooching about the external views just to stare at how gorgeous a model it is. Even better if you've got friends in formation with you. Now, there are some great campaigns that have been made available on the Eagle Dynamics store. One of my personal favourites is The Big Show. It's based upon a real life story. It's a great campaign, and the first mission itself, when you take off and you're surrounded by about 16 to 20 other Spitfires, all heading off to France for a fight, it's brilliant. Overall then, the Spitfire Mark 9 for DCS, is it worth it? Yes, there are two models. You get the normal and the clip wing version. Clip wing's a bit more manoeuvrable in the turn, but not as good in the climb. But I fly the normal Spitfire because it's the most iconic looking aircraft for me. Like I said, I am biased. However, I'm so happy that they've done such a good job in the module. It handles like a dream when it's flying. It wants to kill you on the ground, but then you just want to stare at it when you're airborne because it's such a good looking aircraft. Great module, I highly recommend it. If you don't have a warbird, this should be your first warbird, because if you master the tail wheel in this, then you can master it in absolutely anything. Well, that's it. That's my quick and dirty review of should you buy the Spitfire? Yes, you should. I'll catch you next time. Tactical Pascale, out!